out to Socrates. Socrates still trying to get the opening. Oh, Socrates! Whoa!
And there it is. The crazy gang have beaten the Culture Club.
Maggie Thatcher, can you hear me? Maggie Thatcher, your boys took the hell of a beating. Your boys took the hell of a beating.
Welcome to subsection module 1.14 paragraph 1, 1979-80 revisited, and we are the last round of games before Christmas, Saturday, December the 22nd. Although a lot of the fixtures take place the day before, the night before, a lot of the clubs have opted to weigh into some Friday night football, which seems to go down like a lead balloon. Amongst the 11 First Division fixtures, Dave, of this particular weekend, I think it's 8 of them. Is it 8 of them that are earmarked for the Friday night? There's one postponement amongst them. Yeah, amongst the games taking place on the Friday night, for whatever reason, I think it's 6 fixtures take place on the Friday night eventually. Double the amount that take place on the Saturday afternoon. And there are less people in attendance for the 6 Friday night games than there are for the 3 Saturday afternoon games. The supporters of First Division clubs are sending out a bit of a message here, Dave.
Yes, a message in the fullness of time will be completely ignored by all of the authorities in aid of television. Ironically, this was to avoid television so that they could play on a Friday night and everybody could go and do their Christmas shopping on the Saturday. So it happened quite regularly, depending on when Christmas fell over the years, but no, it was never one that really seemed like it was going to catch on.
It was never going to fly, was it, Dave? It was never going to fly. And within this, we'll touch on it in paragraph 2, the Boxing Day set of fixtures, no cameras from either the BBC or ITV at the grounds on Boxing Day. And this will include the top 2 clashing in the First Division at Anfield as well. Can you imagine a contemporary situation where, what would be this season, Liverpool versus Arsenal, taking each other on at Anfield on Boxing Day, and Sky and TNT Sports, etc., saying, "Nah, lads, we're not bothering." Or the Premier League, as part of that, the Premier League saying, "No dice."
Yes, it's a much more complicated landscape. Back then, there was no sort of football league matches unless it was a Saturday, match of the day and big match, star soccer, whatever. Or everything else fell outside the TV contract. So even when we had the midweek, the sports night with Coleman and all that kind of stuff, that was only ever European games. It was never league games.
We don't get the first televised league highlights of a league game until 1985-86, Dave. Domestically, we get the occasional League Cup game and an FA Cup replay. These were permitted, but league games in midweek was very much a no. I mean, you can go back to say like Liverpool Wolves, to decide the title in 75-76. There's footage of it, but it's simply just like local news camera that's gone to pick up the footage rather than actual, not even highlights of that game were on the television that night, Dave. Very stringent rules, certainly under Alan Hardacre at the Football League, that continued for a long, long time to come yet. But yes, the last Saturday before Christmas, paragraph 1 gives us the kick-off match. We've got trips to Goodison, and I think it's Old Trafford as well, isn't it? We'll start at Goodison, I think. We'll go for Goodison, Dave. There's a brilliantly esoteric, whimsical recording. The camera gets close up for the toss of the coin here, Dave, and the wonderfully eccentric Mr. Gwyn Owen of Anglesey, who is our referee today. We've taught Gilbert Napthine. Obviously Clive Thomas is an icon. We can talk Pat Partridge, George Courtney, all of these referees that we know so well, yet know very little about the men that will take charge of the next weekend of Premier League action, as far as the man in black or whatever colour it is that they're deemed to use this season. It's a wonderful piece of footage. Meet my linesman, he says. Meet my linesman, and Christmas greetings as well to the 2 captains involved.
Hello, Paul.
Merry Christmas to you, mate. All the best, all the best. Yes, meet my linesman. Hello, Mick, all the best. Have a Merry Christmas. Yes, have a good time, the two of you. Yes, meet my linesman.
Seasonal greetings from today's referee, Mr. Gwyn Owen from Anglesey.
He's very chipper, isn't he, Mr. Gwyn Owen? He's full of the bonhomie of Christmas and introducing the players to the linesmen and also, I mean, it's very unusual that there be a microphone in the middle of the pitch to capture any of this stuff. So it's a seasonal treat that the cameras have given us there, and then we talk about the state of the pitch from there. Soft down the middle and hard on the flanks, which is either the pitch or the sleeve notes to a certain kind of VHS.
or a Smith's album. A Smith's B-side or something like that.
The players thinking long and hard about their studs before the game, apparently, which again, could be anything, really.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Oh, dear me. The two teams, well, actually, before we go into the two teams, we will mention Mick Lyons returns for Everton in this one. Mark Higgins is injured in training. And Lyons, who resumes the captaincy on his return, takes an absolute age to decide which way he wants to kick for the first half, having won the toss. It's like he's been surprised by the fact that he's won the toss, and it's a bit of a curveball he didn't expect.
Yeah, he must have been out longer than we think, because he's clearly forgotten all of the niceties of football. I mean, it's bizarre. It just takes him forever to work it. I mean, he must be making some calculations about the nature of the pitch and whether it's going to get colder and icier, or I don't know what he's doing. But it is it's taking longer than a cricket captain to decide to bat in a test match. It's bizarre.
It absolutely is. And the Everton team: Martin Hodge, John Gidman, John Bailey, the aforementioned Mike Lyons, Billy Wright, Gary Stanley, Asa Harford, Trevor Ross, Bob Latchford, Brian Kidd, and Andy King, with Imre Varadi on the bench. That's a strong Everton lineup, which makes it all the more surprising that it's a bit of a dysfunctional league campaign for them thus far.
Yeah, it's a pretty decent sign, isn't it? And there they are, struggling in the bottom six right the way through the season, as it eventually turns out. But there's plenty of quality players in that side, but it just doesn't get going at any stage really during the season. They one or two good results, but consistently they can't get it going, as we shall come to see.
Absolutely. And the Manchester City lineup: Joe Corrigan, Ray Ranson, Willie Donachie, Tommy Booth, Tommy Caton, Dave Bennett, Tony Henry, Steve Daley, Michael Robinson, Paul Power playing in midfield, Bobby Shinton and Nicky Reid on the bench. Again, strong Manchester City side. We wonder what Romark's got in store for City today. Last Saturday before Christmas, is Romark going Christmas shopping? Is he in attendance at Goodison?
I think he's having a day off, frankly.
It's going to be a bit of a day off.
He's getting the turkey stuffed or something, before Christmas. Mrs. Romark's got him in the kitchen. Yeah,
Mrs. Romark's got him running around like a blue-ass fly, I think. Yeah, this is. It's not a classic game by any means, Dave. It's got high comedy content for some of what's going on here, but it does have two highly resplendent kits. Again, Umbro have come up gold in these. This is these are the kits that we've spoken about, this Manchester City away kit, and how it should always be red and black stripes, diamonds down the sleeves, and all that type of thing as well for Everton. These are kind of like the kits, the reset kits, as far as I'm concerned. I'm never a Doctor Who fan, but Doctor Who should always be Tom Baker. These are the kind. This should always be Everton's home kit. That should always be Man City's away kit.
It is an amazing thing, the difference those diamonds down the sleeves make. I don't know why particularly, but I mean there's something about that's just right. It's absolutely correct, and that's how it should be. And to be fair, it's the kits that liven up the entire. I mean, in my notes, I've written down 2 sides who give average a bad name. I mean, it is an absolutely terrible game of football, we have to say.
It is quite the abject game of football. I mean, at least there is an outcome to it. And to be honest, Steve Daley has although there is some misadventure, he has a reasonable afternoon, Dave.
It's among his better afternoons that we've seen so far. And to be fair, Manchester City are better than we've seen them probably at any stage in the season, other than maybe the Manchester Derby. I mean,
Manchester Derby at May Road aside, yeah.
They look a bit more organised. I think having Paul Power in midfield gives them a bit more strength in there. Willie Donachie's back at fullback, Tommy Booth as well, who Brian Kidd talks about in glowing terms later on. I think they make a difference. They look a little bit more just generally solid right the way through at this point. I'm not doing anything particularly impressive, I have to say, but they do look a better team than we've seen so far, which admittedly wouldn't be difficult, but it's an improvement.
No, it wouldn't be difficult from the vast majority of what we've seen of Manchester City thus far this season. But it's an error-strewn game, and it's a Gary Stanley error that opens the door for Daley to open the scoring, Dave.
It is. I mean, it's a terrible sort of bit of miscontrol just outside the box, and it ends up being a perfect pass, really, for Steve Daley to slide his shot under Martin Hodge. Martin Hodge wearing tracksuit bottoms, as is Joe Collins at the other end, which is an important point. And 1-0 to Manchester City. I wouldn't say against the run of play, because there's hardly been any play. To be honest, I mean, one of the highlights at the point up to that point is the sign on the terraces that said, "Please refrain from throwing missiles." That's the most entertainment we've had to this point.
There is indeed. All we've seen at this point is John Gibbon plays in Andy King, who it's one high and handsome into the Gladys Street, and it's really kind of like I don't know, two teams that almost are saying that we wish we'd played this last night. So the cameras couldn't have caught it. But the Stanley error. But the option there for Gary Stanley is just leave it for the advancing Mitt Lyons to collect the ball and bring it out of defence. Mitt Lyons looks utterly nonplussed as Stanley plays this delicious diagonal through ball for Daley to open the score.
It is a glorious pass in the end. I mean, it's not his day, Gary Stanley. He's having a bit of a nightmare all over the place, right the way throughout. But obviously, this is the low point to set up Steve Daley. But fair play to Steve Daley. I mean, we've given him a fair chunk of stick thus far, and I do feel sorry for him having that $1.5 million around his neck. But a better day for him today, anyway.
Yeah, a much better day. Although there will be, a little bit of an error that results in Everton scoring. It's
still a better day than most.
But it's still a much better day than most. And I've got a lot of time for his celebration there as well. He's up on the advertisement hoardings at the park end, clenched fists, giving it all. And it's a fine late 1970s type of celebration.
Cathartic
going on there. It is an absolute work of art. Andy King gets into good positions a couple of times. He's put this one that he's slashed high and wide. And then he shins another one wide. He's laid in by by Ace Hartford. And, again, there are wasted opportunities here for Everton.
Yeah, Trevor Ross as well has a good chance that he blazes over the bar from about 10 yards out. I mean, ironically, it's Everton who tend to have the bulk of the play. They're the ones that are coming forward, by and large. They're the ones that are creating stuff. But the shooting is horrendous. I mean, they clearly that's where Everton's problems are lying over the course of the season. They're not in front of goal. They're absolutely woeful. We do also get introduced at one point to the linesman, Mr. Funnel from Chester, who flags for offside. He must be where Roger Hargreaves got the idea for the Mr. Men. There must have been somewhere from Chester amongst all of that lot.
He does have, it'd be great, a funnel haircut or something like that would be great. That would be fantastic. Yeah, Ross hits one high and handsome. There's a magnificent mix-up between John Gibbon and Martin Hodge that almost presents a goal to Paul Power. As you say, it's Everton who seem to have the play on the footage that we've got, and it's a reasonable amount of footage as well. It's the kickoff's main match, so we're getting half an hour-ish of this. But yeah, this error between Gibbon and Hodge that almost lets Power double the scoreline for Man City, Dave.
It is a very peculiar performance from Everton. I mean, they are reasonably decent going forward up until the final shot, but defensively, I mean, they are taking their cue from Manchester City to a large degree. I mean, they are a bit of a mess. And yeah, with Mike Lyons coming back, you'd think that would sort of tidy him up a little bit, really, but it doesn't. They still are all at sea at the back, and for all that they have to play, I mean, it's not really a surprise when Manchester City got 2-0 up because of the way Everton are defended.
It is. City, persevere. There's some fine work from Dave Bennett down the right. And Henry Lashes at home connects with a poor clearance by Lyons, who's had a busy afternoon there. He's been bewildered by by our spectacular referee who's in danger of making it into the your boys took hell of beating Hall of Fame there, Mr. Gwyn Owen of Anglesey, which I think he will. It's Christmas Christmas Day. Gwyn Owen is going into the Hall of Fame, and then so he's had the Gary Stanley incident, and then he's just not got his clearance sorted, and they are punished royally for it, Dave.
I mean, it's a poor goal all round. I mean, Bennett, he sort of sits Billy Wright on his backside, a bit like the other Billy Wright against Hungary in 1953. And then it's just nothing of a cross, really, but he bounces awkwardly in front of Mick Lyons, who sort of, I think he comes off his side, doesn't he? He clears it straight to Tony Henry, who smacks it in. First time, it's a good finish.
It is. Two good finishes for Manchester City.
Yeah.
There's a bit, obviously that the way in which these chances are presented to City, but they take them pretty clinically in a way that that Everton aren't doing at the other end.
They look gradually to be an improving team, Manchester City, partly because of players coming back, I think. And perhaps Malcolm Allison has found a defensive coach at long last, having been turned down by Bobby Moore and God knows who else. But they do look a more organised side to a degree. Although that said, had Everton took the chances that they had, it'd be about 4-2 at this point to Everton. So they're not entirely sorted at the back, but they do seem to be gradually crawling from the desperate position they've been in, 2-0 up. The natives are pretty restless. There's lots of sounds of disgruntlement all across Goodison Park at this point as well.
There is indeed. But Everton do up the game a little bit before half time. There's a Lions header that goes wide after a glorious penalty block scramble, Dave, and Ross forces Corrigan into a reasonably smart save. Corrigan's again, he's kept busy by Asa Harford as well. This again. It's those fine lines here that we're talking about. And as you say, Everton could have had the ball in the back of the net 4 times, prior to half time. But the limping in at half time, 2-0 down. And as a match goes, like I say, low on quality but high on content. Whether that's quality content or not, and most of it wasn't. It's been a mixed bag, Dave, that first 45 minutes.
Mixed is indeed the word, I think. I mean, it could easily be 4-2 to Everton, and I think that happens in a season. You can play really poorly, and you go to a game where you probably should have got beat out of sight, and you come away with a 1-0 win or something like that, and that just changes the whole tenor of the season, the whole mood and everything that goes on with it. And maybe that's what's happening to Manchester City here. They're having a little bit of luck that they haven't had perhaps earlier on in the season. Things are going their way, and they're coming at half time, 2 goals for the good away at Everton. And all of a sudden they're looking upwards rather than worrying about what disaster's going to befall them next. That's the great thing about a league season. There's so much sort of ebb and flow in it.
There absolutely is, and we'll touch on where this newfound optimism might take Manchester City. We'll do a little nod at full time over what's to come next, because Romark definitely puts his overtime in after taking his eye off the ball at Goodison on the Saturday before Christmas. Into the second half, Joe Corrigan, there's he makes a fine save, but then it comes from a kind of like a poor punch. So he's kind of set it up himself in many respects. He's had to redeem himself in this. Again, like we say, busy afternoon for Corrigan. He saves from Andy King. He blocks the follow up. So there's some heroics. There's some utter lunacy going on. It's kind of like, it's a game that kind of like, I don't know. In terms of the defensive elements in this game, there's massive amounts of switch on, switch off. Goalkeepers, defenders alike.
This is not a game where you would say that defences are on top. Although they don't, it doesn't end up like 6-5 or anything like that. But it's there's some terrible defending. I mean, as you say, Corrigan, the punch. I mean, he comes for it like Superman. The one raised and doesn't get much on it, and then it's Brian Kidd, isn't it, with a sort of an overhead kick that he does make a good save from in the end to sort of clear up the mess, and then he makes a good decent stop from Andy King. Although again, Andy King shouldn't give him the option really. I mean, it's a nice move with Asa Harford, and he's through, and he just delays, and that then again talks about the sort of lack of confidence that is with Everton in front of goal. I mean, they're just a bit of a mess really in front of goal, and then they've no belief. So City come through. That's still 2-0 2-0 to the good.
There is a moment where Steve Daley seems to be playing his own game of five-a-side towards his own corner flag. And he will actually admit it in his post-match interview that he had multiple opportunities to deal with the ball. He didn't. He's dispossessed, and ultimately it kind of precipitates the goal that Everton do score in this game eventually.
Yeah, I mean he's obviously just been booked a few moments earlier for dissent against Mr. Funnell, and that's obviously playing on his mind, because I don't know what he's doing. He's just meandering with the ball on City's right back towards his own goal. He could pass it to 2 or 3 different players. He could launch it into touch. He could put it for throw. He could do anything other than what he does, because he loses the ball, which then leads to a free kick, and it's from the free kick that Everton get their goal back. So I mean that's. But then again, by the light of Steve Daley's season, that says nothing really. I mean that's just another one of those things that's happening to Steve Daley this season, really.
Yeah, it's a very Steve Daley type of thing to be happening, just as much as the goal he scores to open the scoring in this one. Everton, get the goal back. It's Kidd. There's the free kick tapped, to the side, and it's struck low and Corrigan's right. Everton back into it, but here's the open door. Surely there's got to be more opportunities to put the ball in the back of the net. This is going to go right to the wire. There are no more goals, but it's not to say that there shouldn't have been more goals.
Yeah, well, Gary Stanley continues his lousy afternoon. I mean, he's put through by Asa Hartford, and he fires across the face of the goal and wide. And I mean, it's a golden opportunity to square things up. And then City, to be fair to them, they keep coming. And Tommy Kay, we've seen him before in this season with shooting from distance. It's an absolute screamer from 20 yards out. That's only just over the bar. Then Henry's clean through and somehow manages to lose his footing. So Martin Hodge picks up the ball, and I mean that sums up the game. It's a game.
Yeah, kind of gets his studs caught in the turf, which is like the perfect representation of the afternoon at Goodison Park, I think, for this particular game. City have a shout for a penalty. Are we on for this, Dave, or not?
No, not really.
No, we're not on for it, are we?
Mr. Gwyn is correct there. Mr. Gwyn
is, yeah, and Mr. Gwyn does have to put his foot down at times in this game. For the bonhomie that he has at the start of the game prior to kickoff, he does have to lay the law down quite a few times.
Yeah, some serious words with Willie Donachie early in the second half, pointing at him furiously about something, and he makes some bizarre gesture like Jockey Wilson about to throw some darts on the hockey, and sends Willie Donachie off in high dudgeon. But I mean, that's kind of the game it is. The entertainment's coming from the name of the linesman and the fact that the referee is a bit of a show. That's it. That's kind of that's your Christmas fair.
Yeah, Mr. Gwyn Owen of Anglesey is very much the showman here, and in fact, I think Mr. Funnell can go into as a double act, which makes you feel sorry for the other linesmen who remained anonymous throughout. But yeah, Mr. Funnell can go in with Gwyn Owen as a double act there into the Hall of Fame. Your boys took hell beating Hall of Fame. It's great the footage these particularly these ones on the kickoff match, and we do get them on the footage of the big match, and occasionally some of the match of the day footage that we're getting with the after match interviews. Brian Kidd, he's great in his kind of like his bluntness that he tells it like it is. Says we're not getting the ball in the penalty area, and you can't argue with that. You've got Brian Kidd and you've got Bob Latchford, and there's not Kidd gets that goal, but it's from a free kick, it's from a set piece. Within the penalty area, we're not seeing any kind of defined opportunities that fall for Bob Latchford. We're not seeing any defined opportunities that fall for Brian Kidd. He's got a point in his post-match analysis.
I mean, thinking through it's only the highlights, so we don't see everything, but thinking through the whole thing, I can't remember any crosses going into the box at all. I mean, everything's come through the middle that they have done, and it tends to be Andy King who's breaking from midfield against it. There's been, you've got Bob Latchford in the middle. Surely one of your strategies will be to get the ball out wide and get some good crosses in for Bob Latchford. I mean, that's, you'd only been doing that for 10 years, scoring 20-odd goals a season from knocking in headers left, right and centre. But they haven't done any of that. There's been none of it. And, again, he says the service into the box hasn't been very good. We can't string 2 passes together. We just didn't play in the first half, which is, fairly blunt from Rocky, but you can't argue with him, can you?
You can't at all. And like we said, we have Steve Daley in front of the camera as well, who takes the plaudits for his goal and his overall performance, because it's him that lays up the ball for Tommy Caton when he whistles it just past the angle of the post and the crossbar as well. So a positive afternoon for Steve Daley in this respect. He takes the plaudits, but he also puts his hands up, as we mentioned, to his error down by the corner flag.
Yes, well, there's no getting away from that, given it's all on camera. He's gradually beginning to come to terms with the move and the fee and all of that, and he's just starting to be a bit more like the player that he was at Wolves. I mean, when you think that, what was it, 820,000 for Ray Wilkins at the start of the season, and then another 700,000 for Steve Daley on top of that. It doesn't make any form of sense, does it? It's not his fault. I mean, he's just stuck in the middle of it, but it doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't, and he is hamstrung by the inconsistency of the team that surrounds him.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, I mean, the team around him is, as we've said many a time, is a bit of a shambles. So it's not like you're going into a team that's doing well and it's easy enough to settle down. He's fighting a losing battle in a poor team.
It is indeed. I mean, it's a win for Man City that puts them 6 points clear of the relegation zone. He's talking in terms of why can't we we challenge for Europe. They are now on 21 points, which puts them just 2 points behind fourth place Southampton. In retrospect, what he says sounds outlandish, but within the eye of the situation of December 22nd, 1979, it's not an impossibility. He's every right to feel that that's where Manchester City should be aiming for.
Yeah, I mean, they have had an uptick in form, since some of the games that we saw them playing in where they were absolutely horrendous. You think back to that game against Liverpool at Main Road when the defending was just utterly horrific, and one or two of the other games again at Selhurst Park as well. They've obviously settled down a bit from there. They've stabilised a bit, and as you say, 2 points away from fourth. I mean, they've got every chance of going on and qualifying for Europe from there.
They have indeed. However, I mean, without giving too many spoilers, Manchester City will, Dave, not win their next league match for almost 4 months.
Well, that's going to ruin the European push, isn't it?
It's going to put a dent in it, Dave. It's going to put a dent in it. Romark is back with a vengeance, without a shadow of a doubt. ATV's cameras, given the football that's available to televise, to go and put your cameras towards, within the Midlands, there is a second division fixture for Notts County at Meadow Lane. But ATV instead go on tour. They send their cameras and their production team to Old Trafford to cover, fair enough, Nottingham Forest, to take on Manchester United. George Courtney of Spennymoor, our referee. Manchester United unbeaten at home all season. Forest have lost their last 5 on the run. It's a debut for Stan Bowles, Dave, and it's a chastening afternoon for Nottingham Forest as Manchester United roll on.
The first half, I mean, Manchester United absolutely steamrolled them.
It's all to do with the first 23 minutes of this game.
Forest have lost 5 straight away, and at no point does it ever look as though it's not going to be 6 in a row, because they, right from the outset, they're under the cosh from United, who were unbeaten at home. I mean, it's a difficult pitch, hard frost in the Manchester area, icy on top, tracksuit bottoms well in evidence, but United don't seem inconvenienced by it at all, where Forest are just absolutely all over the place. And I mean, we've seen United score from a long Gary Bailey kick before, but that's how it becomes 1-0. Macari flicks it on as Kenny Burns delightfully kicks him right up the backside as Macari is.
Yeah, there is Kenny Burns corner here at play.
as Macari makes his feet, and Joe Jordan now passes Larry Lloyd and stabs it past Peter Shilton. Peter Shilton gets a hand. He goes down like he's got arthritis. I mean, it's not a great effort from Peter Shilton to save. Not that I think he's saving it anyway, but I mean, he doesn't make much of an effort, does he? To be fair,
it's a bit of a token effort. And he's beaten at his near post. I think it's in the category of should at least make a better effort at it. I think we have to say with this one. For Forest, Francis hits one from distance, but it's easily claimed by Bailey. Kenny Burns at it again at a corner, clatters Lou Macari. He's really got it in for Lou Macari on this particular afternoon. It's a glorious thing. Macari, effervescent in form again. He's having a fantastic season from everything that we've seen of him. there's a flick dead he puts over the bar, but then soon enough it's 2-0, and it's Mickey Thomas plays a part with we've seen a couple of goals of late where a miss-hit is part of the build-up to a goal, and Mickey Thomas is part of he does likewise, Dave.
It's another long kick out that started. Joe Jordan heads it on. Sammy Rockleroy eventually gets it down the left. The cross is Eddie clear, and Mickey Thomas makes a complete shambles of his effort to score. But unfortunately for him, it falls perfectly for Lou Macari. Turns and gets his shot. Peter Shilton makes a save, but pushes it, instead of pushing it away from the danger area, as all goalkeepers are told to do, he pushes it across the 6-yard box, and there's Joe Jordan standing on his own to make it 2-0. Forest had just been ripped to shreds by United, but I don't know whether it's that they've got the wrong studs in, or God knows what it is, but United are just quicker to everything, and Forest aren't in the game at all.
No, they're not in the game. They are disgraced to the kit that they were in, the glorious all yellow away strip. Again, it's the away strip that Forest should always have. You need the stripes down the sleeves and the shorts and everything. They do look majestic, at least in sartorial terms, Dave, but not footballing terms. And within midway through the second half, it's 3-0. McQueen, there's a header from a Wilkins free kick. Strains if we're going to win the league from the Manchester United fans again. They've every right to feel optimistic at this point in time, and it's the game's over within 23 minutes now.
They could have scored before then. I mean, Mickey Thomas puts one over from a Jordan header from about 8 yards. Jordan's furious, and he gives Mickey Thomas the death stare. And then there's the 3. I mean, I think they're a bit lucky, because I think Lou Macari has conned the linesman into giving Forest a defensive throw when it was actually a goal kick. But he's given a throw in, and from there, United get a free kick. It's another goal. I mean, it's a Gordon McQueen trademark header from a crossing from the free kick, beats Larry Lloyd to it, and 23 minutes in, 3-0, as you say. There's no coming back from that. And as the camera pans away with McQueen celebrating, you get a glimpse of Stanley Bowles on the edge of the pitch, looking at the defenders, wondering what he's signed up for. I mean, he looks crestfallen, does Stanley.
He does indeed. He does indeed. It could be 4. Wilkins puts one over the bar. Hugh Johns declares, "Have a piece of that." In Hugh Johns fashion. Forest are just opened up almost at will by Manchester United at this point. Forest fans, trying to keep themselves warm, all they can do is try to antagonise the home fans by singing "You'll Never Walk Alone." Shilton saves from Wilkins. Wilkins header, Coppell cross. McElroy almost puts the ball into his own net at one point, though, to give Forest hope. He loops it over his crossbar, and you can see that momentary, snapshot of panic as he's just made contact with the ball. Oh my God, where is this going? This is Forest's best chance throughout the entirety of the first half, Dave.
Yeah, I mean that sort of takes any hopes that Forest have got of salvaging the game away from them. There, I mean, that is the one opportunity that they get in that first half. And if you go in at 3-1, I suppose you've got a little sliver of hope, but Sammy McElroy blows a huge sigh of relief as the ball goes over his own bar, and that pretty much is it, really, from the perspective of making a game of it. And the second half is, well, we hardly get to see any of the second half. Obviously, all the action has been in the first half. United playing within themselves and just sort of coasting to the win.
Yeah, it's less of an event in the second half, which within itself allows Stan Bowles plenty of the ball. Which is some nice touches, some esoteric passing, all of that, what we expect of Stan Bowles. But, the game's already gone. Bailey makes a save from him. There's no real effort that's over the bar from close range. There is clear audio racism towards Viv Anderson, throughout the second half as well. Bailey saves from Francis. It is, what we get to see in the second half, it's predominantly Forest, but the toothless.
Absolutely. I mean, there's no real conviction to the way they play in the second half. I mean, they have the better of the play, the better of the chances. Martin O'Neill has a good opportunity from about 5 yards out that he somehow balloons over the bar. But I mean, this is United, obviously with an eye on Boxing Day events, playing well within themselves in the second 45 minutes, trying to take as little out of each other as possible, and they've done all the work in the first 23 minutes, haven't they? They haven't got to worry about anything else. It's a very straightforward performance from them.
Indeed it is. Very much, foot off the accelerator in the second half. I think the one Manchester United chance that we see in the second half is from Coppell, who drags one wide. don't think we see any other kind of like attacking intent from them on the footage. But like we say, it's one of those highlights games where we get about 20 minutes of the first half and about 3 minutes of the second half, probably for very good reason. After the match, our interviews are done by Gary Newbell. He talks to Lou Macari, who indulges in great Kenny Burns chat about being kicked up the arse and stuff like that. He's also quite circumspect when Newbon tries to open him up about potential title chat. Macari is kind of like, conversant enough to say, well, Liverpool have a game in hand, and they've got it, and it's not mind games. That's just very much a case of we'll do what we can, but Liverpool are in the driving seat. There's a bluntness to this rather than kind of like party political mind games going on.
The interesting thing with it, he sounds exactly like a fan because they're playing Forest and then they're playing Liverpool and then they play Arsenal.
There's Arsenal thrown in there as well, yeah.
And he says, Forest is the game that we were most worried about because they've been so terrible that we were worried that they might finally turn it on today. And that's exactly how a fan thinks,
Yeah.
The opposition have lost 15 in a row. Well, and they're playing us, well, it's not going to be 16 in a row. It's that kind of mentality. It's an interesting conversation with him, actually. But no, I mean, he's right. Liverpool at this stage, definitely in the box seat. But United are clearly the only team that's going to offer them any kind of challenge at this stage.
That is indeed. And to Liverpool, we will go for paragraph 2. So please join us again on 1979-80 Revisited, which will come up soon. We'll also do the results roundup and a nod towards Boxing Day events as well. Spread the word, as ever. Subscribe wherever you can subscribe. And join us again. Merry Christmas to all.
And Happy New Year.
And Happy New Year. Thank you and goodbye.
Have a Merry Christmas. Yes, have a good time, the two of you. Yes, meet my linesman.